afternoon. To the Wright family, to the distinguished guests in attendance, to the good people of Lyons, Georgia, and the surrounding Toombs County. I want to thank you for attending the memorial for Staff Sergeant Dustin Michael Wright. My name is Captain Sion Brandon. Just before I came to Dustin's Green Beret team, I was the commander. I met him in Niger a year and a half ago. He was assigned to the company headquarters element, and we had been communicating daily through emails and phone calls. My impression of Dustin 2 months before we'd ever met in person was that he was a fearless and creative, he had this fearless and creative way of finding the humorous side of every situation. I requested for Dustin to fly out to my team's camp in Maradi, Niger, to assist us in an upcoming mission. What Dustin didn't know was that the team was scouting for another engineer sergeant, and this mission would be his tryout for the team. When he finally showed up to the camp, I remember instantly thinking, this cannot be the guy I had been communicating with for the last few months. He was a towering man, standing 6'4", 225 pounds, built like a tank. But somehow, he was initially very quiet and reserved. But anyone who's met Dustin knows this only lasted a few minutes. Then his true, animated, and spontaneous personality emerged, and everything he did after that point exuded sheer confidence. Dustin performed exceptionally on that mission, and proved to not only be a supremely competent 18 Charlie engineer sergeant, but an outstanding Green Beret. In the end, his southern charm quickly won us over, and to a man, the entire team wanted him to join as soon as possible. I have many cherished memories of Dustin, but my favorite was an embarrassing moment that not only have I never told anyone before today, but I actually made him promise to keep a secret between us. This memory occurred last February, when the team was conducting pre-deployment training with a special operations unit. It was a 40-degree morning at Fort Bragg. We were preparing to push an inflatable boat off the back of a moving helicopter just before jumping in after it into the freezing waters of Mott Lake. Predictably, we were less than thrilled about the temperature. But while most of the team would be boarding the boat and going back to shore, 4 of us would remain in the water to be extracted by the helicopter crew. Dustin volunteered immediately, and the 2 of us were paired up together. Everything seemed simple at first. Our team pushed the boat off the ramp of the moving helicopter. We leaped off as planned. The water was so cold it hurt, and I tried to catch my breath before seeing Dustin 30 feet away. As I struggled to breathe in the frigid air, Dustin was waving at me with this big smile on his face, pointing at the helicopter hovering 150 feet away. He looked like an overgrown kid about to get in line for his favorite roller coaster. Being from Southern California and growing up on the water, I've always considered myself to be a fairly competent swimmer. So I wasn't too worried about swimming to the helicopter and fighting the wake of the rotor wash. But as we swam closer, it quickly became apparent that the downward forces of the helicopter's rotors were unforgiving. The turbulence and spray created by the helicopter were so violent and overpowering that it quickly overwhelmed me. Finally, I sank beneath the surface and I couldn't find my way back up. I felt the walls closing in on me and I was drowning. At that moment, I felt Dustin's hand grab the back of my collar and pull me above the water. While holding on to me, he powered his way through the waves, towing me behind him and got us to the helicopter for extraction. We flew to the landing zone and got off the helicopter to meet up with our team. No one knew what exactly happened except for Dustin and I. And afterwards, I pulled him to the side and I said, Dustin, I'm not going to lie, but I'm pretty embarrassed right now. But I was really struggling, and I'm pretty sure I was going to drown. but I wanted to thank you for swimming back to me and saving my life. And then I told him, if we could keep this between me and you and not let the rest of the team know, I would really appreciate it. Dustin immediately responded with his usual loud country voice and said, "Sir, don't worry about it. I actually thought I was the one drowning." We both started laughing, and then he looked at me and said, "All I knew is there was no time to drown, because I knew I couldn't leave you behind because we were both getting on that helicopter together." He gave me a big bear hug and said, "Your secret is safe with me." That moment is the purest testament I can speak to the type of man that Dustin really was. He was selfless and fearless in the face of danger. He always put the welfare of others before his own. He was someone who, without a doubt, would stand side by side with you in the most dangerous of situations, because he couldn't fathom the thought of leaving a brother behind. I miss Dustin with all my heart, and I know I'm not alone with this emotion. Having spent the last couple of days with Dustin's family and friends, it has been a great honor and pleasure to hear all of the amazing stories of the Dustin I never met. This before the Army, the football championships of Dustin and his brother Will at Toombs County High School, the stories of Dustin playing catcher and second base for Georgia State's youth baseball. Most of all, Dustin loved his friends and family. He loved being from Georgia, and we loved being a Green Beret. In Special Forces, there is a true camaraderie, an unbreakable bond. And Dustin, you will never be forgotten. Dustin is a hero to us all, and a warrior in the face of evil. Others on the team, including myself, are alive today because of the decisive and brave actions of Staff Sergeant Wright. I, along with everyone else here, had the privilege of knowing the extraordinary man that we honor today. He's our hometown hero, our gentle giant, and in Dustin's own words, our Southern gentleman. I would like to conclude with a quote that I saw in a picture of Dustin and Will. In it, they were wearing matching shirts that read, "They said I could be anything in life, so I decided to be awesome." Yes, you did, my friend. You absolutely did. At last, Dustin, you are home, and you are finally at peace. The espresso is over there. I will now be followed by Commander of 1st Special Forces Command, Major General Fran Baudet. And he will be presenting the Gold Stars and the awards panel. Thank you.
From the sky, fearless men who jump and dive, men who mean just what rainbow rays, silver wings upon their chests. These are men
thanking you because we know you are here with us. I pray, God, for your comfort and your strength. Father, as we honor Dustin today, that we would give you honor and glory as well. We give you praise. To Dustin's family, I want to thank you for, and yet very humble honor that you have given me to share just a few words here today. We want to let you know that we love you, that we are praying for you, and we thank you today for your sacrifice. A servant, one who was called to serve. When I received news of the death of Dustin Wright, my mind quickly raced to the many memories I had of him as a member of our Toombs County Bulldog family. Immediately, I thought about a young man who I witnessed was definitely called to serve. I think about the fact that we have all been called. However, many never take up that call, but others embrace it with passion. Dustin did. We read in the Bible the words of Paul as he says, "Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit, but rather in humility value others above yourselves, looking to of others." Dustin lived that out. He served his friends. He had an unbelievable ability to bring a smile to your face and laughter into your life, even on the worst of days. He served his family. Personally, had the opportunity to witness this in what I've seen, what as Artie and Zach would come to watch Dustin practice during the week. And I would see as Zach, being a little boy, would be running around and Dustin practicing. Dustin always had an eye turned towards Zach, watching over him. I witnessed that care. He served his team. I'm sure Coach Fitzgerald will share some about this as well. But at practice, we have what we call a scout team. They don't get the attention of the fans that many others do. They won't be getting interviews. But these men prepare those who will go to battle on a Friday night. They become an opponent during the week so that those who are starting will be prepared on game day. It is said that a team is on as its scout team. Dustin was a leader here, very passionate. If you were going to play over him on Friday night, he was going to make you earn. Since 2001, I've watched him put on the uniform of the Toombs County Bulldogs and step onto this field. Many who have received cheers and great recognitions for their efforts in a game. Today, we do not hear the Redcoats play our fight song. We do not hear the cheers of the fans or the jugs rattling as we do on a Friday night. But I can promise you that through our sorrow and our tears, our hearts are leaping with pride and honor because we have before us today a true champion of champions. I am so thankful that Dustin ran through the tunnel and into our lives and left us with a powerful example of what it is to serve and be a servant. Jesus said in Matthew The greatest among you will be your servant. We will miss you, Dustin. We are proud of you. You are our hero. One last time on this field, I'll say to you, young man, God bless you.
What lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. There's a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson that sits underneath Dustin's senior picture in the 2007 yearbook. Now I can stand here today and I can tell you a lot of funny stories about Dustin. Most of you would recognize Dustin's personality and character in those stories. As in one time walking off the practice field, I turned to Dustin and said, "Man, you smell like a dumpster. Don't you know you're supposed to take your cloth home every Wednesday?" And Dustin said, "Yeah, Coach, I took it home, but I left it in the truck." So I said, "Guessing there wasn't a love life that weekend." To which he replied, "Coach, there never is." And there was one time where Coach Harrelson was fussing at one of our baseball players in the dugout. Dustin, being Dustin, is standing behind Coach Harrelson making hand signals and hip gyrations until I walked around the corner. And then Dustin dropped his head and gave you that wry smile Dustin gave you when you knew Dustin was going to do something stupid. But I didn't have to say anything because back at that time I was a lot rougher on the kids than I am today. Dustin just tied his shoes and went up and ran for about an hour and a half. There's a good many more stories I could obviously Dustin, but I you today about how important being a part of a team was to Dustin. As Brother Toole alluded to, early in Dustin's career at Toombs County, he spent a good bit of time on our scout team, and he was funny because we're in the 2000s and Dustin shows up in the 1970s with the, Mean Joe Green arm pads, and he's the only guy I've ever seen in my 16 years here that still taped his hands. But I would tell you that there's no way I could count how many times the kid walked off the practice field with his pads tattered with blood and prayed. As Brother Stephen said, he was going to make sure if somebody was playing over him, it was for the right reason. And speaking of Zach and Artie showing up at practice, I remember a time where Artie shows up and he's talking to me because I was Dustin's position coach, and he's kind of giving me the what for and whatnot a little bit, and then he was challenging Dustin's manhood in front of me. Meanwhile, Zach walked all the way down to the end of the field on the other side of the track, and we look over there, and Zach, I don't know, 5 or 6 years old, had shipped all the way up the goalpost and was standing on top of the goalpost holding it. So who had to go get him? Dustin. So in his first couple of years, or his first year, I'm sure it was frustrating for Dustin. But he did have a love for his friends. I don't know if I ever saw a time where I didn't see Dustin with one of 4 people. Every time I saw him, he was always with Alton, or he was always with Dustin. I don't know if I ever saw any of them together. Those guys would be guys to stand up here today and tell you real funny stories about Dustin. But I can tell you Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday at football practice, he was, as his captain said, he was a warrior on the football field. He was selfless. Unfortunately for him, he was still working on which way was right and which way was left. So he struggled with that in honoring his patch of grass on defense. But nobody, and I mean nobody, worked harder than him. And nobody that was out there cared more than he did. He's a true testament to a guy who didn't quit on his teammates. As you guys know from being a part of sports, many kids who don't get their opportunities on Friday night do. Dustin was a topic in our coaches' meetings every week. I'm fighting for him. Dustin is an effort guy. He gives you everything he's got. 6'4", 220 pounds is different than I remember him. 6'4", 120 after breakfast, getting out of the shower is how I remember Dustin. But he gave it his all, and Toombs County has had a habit of raising up kids that have turned into grown-sized young men and done special things after they graduated from high school. I remember being on the sidelines during team scrimmage. Dustin was always the first guy when somebody got hurt to run out there, even if it wasn't his traditional position. He was going to get out there. You had to kick him off the field to get somebody some reps. And that paid off for Dustin going into his senior year when he became a full-time member of our Toombs County Bulldog Friday Night Hero Squad. As for baseball, once again, in his junior season, times were hard for him to get on the field. We were talented. The class of 2006 that was in front of him had done something that hadn't been done before, and that was won 4 straight games over Vidalia and knocked Vidalia out of the playoffs. So Dustin he came into a situation where his spot was pretty well sewed up, but he showed up every day and he worked hard to get his opportunity. And coming into his senior season, we had high expectations for Dustin to play second base for us, third base for us, depending on the matchup. As you guys know, as being dad coaches yourself on Little League teams, sometimes the matchup dictates who plays. And one day, Dustin was playing second base, and we were in a tight game and had to make a pitching change. So I walked out to the mound, and despite what people thought about me not caring about other people, it really bothered me to know I was fixing to have to walk out there and take Dustin out of the game because the pitcher that we were going to be taking out was going to be a better offensive chance for us. And Dustin put 2 hands on my shoulder and told me that he understood what I was doing. Another sacrifice to the true testament character that Dustin had of putting others and his teammates in front of him. Later in the year, I had Dustin on the bench a little bit for slumping a little offensively and defensively, but we were playing a big region game against Jeff Davis, and in the second inning, Dustin led the second inning off with a home run. And as he rounded second base, I could count all 32 of his teeth. He was smiling so big. And as he rounded third base, he said, "I told you so." Yeah, you did. And I felt like an idiot at that point. I'm just going to tell you. But some of those things are exactly what lied within Dustin. A fight to prove you belonged, a measure of perseverance to keep pushing forward while so many others pouted and quit, a determination to become better and make others around him better. You know, it flies by so fast. And while I have known what D. Wright was doing, I regret not telling him how proud I was of him the last time that I saw him. And to his friends who knew he was special, no words express to you my feelings. There's no way that I can tell you how, even now today, Dustin Wright has re-impacted my life. That you not wait till it's too late to tell someone sitting by you that you love them and honoring them while they're still with us. Whatever job they do, important, and don't wait till it's too late. In conclusion, I'd like to tell a story about what happened yesterday at the Vidalia Recreation Department. And it may take a minute, but I got called to come over there and help umpire some games, and a guy reassured me that I'd be out of there in time to get to where I wanted to be when Dustin came home. By 3 o'clock, as you know, things weren't going well, and it wasn't looking good. And the guy finally asked me what I was trying to do, and when I told him what was happening, he said, "Yeah, that's right. I tell you what I'm going to do, bitch. I'm going to go talk to every coach at this field today and tell him when you walk off that field, everyone's walking off that field." So I was getting updates, and when I caught he was on US 1, we had just finished the 5th inning, the time limit expired, the score was 21-21 with the first seed against the last seed. And the coaches caught me walking off the field, and I said, "It's time." So the kids didn't understand it. They wanted to keep playing. The coaches were talking to their kids about what was going on. I'm coming through the dugout, and I'm starting to walk all the way across the rec department, and people are seeing me go, and they're stopping their games in mid-track, and you can see the coaches huddling them up and talking to how important it is. And right next to me as I walked out of the dugout, there's a 10-year-old boy who's waiting for the next game. "Daddy, where is he going? Don't they have to finish the game?" "Yes, son. Remember we told you we were going to stop?" The little boy looked at him and said, "Yes, sir. I want to go see a real superhero." I couldn't help but think that that's exactly how I felt. Walking over to the side of the road. Of course, we were in Vidalia, and I had to change into my Toombs County t-shirt or a shirt, because I wanted to make sure the Toombs County flag was flying as he rode by in Vidalia. But that was selfish on my part. God bless you all, and God bless America.